So, current active role-playing gaming groups that I'm currently engaged with. I've been ramping up gameplay a lot. I've not gamed this much since the 80s. So currently I'm a player in a Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 group run by a friend, Jacob. He's actually moved his group to playing at my house because I have the facilities for the tables and everything here, so it's a lot easier. But I'm not providing status update videos of those particular adventures as I am for some of the others. And he's a younger, more inexperienced game master. He's been playing for a lot of years, but he's still in the early stages. He's been doing it for a while, but going through a lot of those early stages. But he has a lot of good talent and is off to a good start. He's having some of the consequences of being an early Monty Hall game master. He kind of gave a little too generously to some of his players, and now he's reaping the consequences of characters that are only 4th level but far more powerful than they normally would be. And he's trying to work out how to rectify that, and it's been very enjoyable. The group is a bit hack and slash, but they're slowly learning about the other aspects of role-playing besides just combat. Another group that I'm participating in, and I am the game master, is the Merlin's comic and game store, Late Night Gaming. We originally started with the original D&D box set that was republished. The store owner and I were alternating back and forth game mastering, and we were running it with A0, which was a prequel to the Slave Lord series, for those of you familiar with the A1 through A4 series of the old Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 1st edition. That was with everybody playing at 1st level. Then we jumped to a different series with Tomb of Horrors, the S series, S1, and we've been going through that. I've been GMing that every other week, late night Fridays. We were doing Sunday nights from 9 p.m. until 2 or 3 in the morning, and again every other week, and then we alternate game masters. But now we're doing Fridays because with school starting, Mondays mornings are a little too rough, so Friday night's a little better, and we're starting a little later because there's a magic gaming group in the store, and we have to wait for them to wrap up, and they take longer, etc. And that's a moneymaker for the stores, so they need to still do what they need to do. So we've been running that from 10 p.m. till about 1 a.m. And our next session is going to be September 26th. And after the next session, I will provide another status update video of that. So for the Tomb of Horrors, and I'm running 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons rules, but with the 1st edition Tomb of Horrors. I'd looked at running the 4th edition and adapting it to 5th edition, but interestingly enough, the 4th edition writers for Tomb of Horrors actually literally, not figuratively, literally destroyed the original Tomb of Asararak in Tomb of Horrors. I'll talk about that in those other videos, but it's kind of funny. So kind of have to use, I haven't seen the 2nd and 3rd edition versions yet, so I'm using the 1st edition adapted to 5th edition and dealing with those, and so I've been doing a series of videos talking about the challenges of those adaptations and the differences. And that is on the same RPG Research channel on YouTube, as well as I get them uploaded to the website periodically as well. Another group I'm in is run by my girlfriend, Katie. She's running a GURPS system, that's Generic Universal Role-Playing System, of Discworld. That's Terry Pratchett's fantasy world. That's quite a lot of fun. We're playing that every other week as well, generally on Saturdays. Also not providing update status videos of that either, and I'm playing that with my son, youngest son, Drake, who's now 14. Another group which I just started today, but we've been arranging for several months, is a Tor RPG group, and this is going to be every other week on Fridays, on the Fridays that I'm not doing the Merlin's Late Night group. Tor is the One Ring role-playing game. That's the current licensed Tolkien-based role-playing game. The first one was MERP, Middle-earth Role-Playing, through Iron Crown Enterprises. They had it for a good 18, 19 years. Then it lapsed. I'm not going to get into that whole ugliness that happened between Middle-earth Enterprises, Tolkien Enterprises, and Iron Crown Enterprises. I've ranted about that in other videos. But anyway, the license was reverted and then later sold to Decipher. Decipher rolled out Lord of the Rings role-playing game, which was very poorly done. The company wasn't really interested in the role-playing game. They were more interested in the cards and board games and other licensing rights. And though the developers of the game tried to do things, they didn't have good company backing. And that only lasted 5 years before they did not renew the license. Then it floated around in limbo for a while until finally Sophisticated Games and Cubicle 7 picked up the license and created Tor, which is a very nice story-driven game system. Those of you who love lots of number crunching are not going to be fans of it. Those of you who like really detailed systems and gritty combat are not going to be fans of it. Those of you who love a really narrative, story-driven with a lot of freedom and player narrative would love Tor. That is something I plan to add more video reviews of. I have done some early reviews from a few years ago, and I'm planning to resume some now that I've had a few more experiences running it. This new group we just started as actually a merger of two families, some of my family and some of a friend's family. We just began this literally just hours ago, this Friday evening. Participants include my friend Brian, who's also the secretary for my Tolkien Society that we meet once a month. He's also a teacher at Northwest Christian School here in Spokane. 3 of his daughters, ages around 10 to 16, my girlfriend, and 2 of my younger sons, between 14 and 16, are all participating in this game. I'm the lore master, the game master, and everybody else is playing it. So Brian's in it, his 3 daughters, Katie, my girlfriend, and 2 of my 3 sons are all in this adventure together. I will be providing separate review and status updates of those adventures as the adventure progresses, if people are interested. I don't have any yet, so let me know if you'd like to get some Tor RPG series updates of the adventure. The adventure is Tales from the Wilderland, Adventure 1, Don't Leave the Path. And if I do so, it'll be a separate video from my standard RPG research updates. It'll be like the others for the other campaigns. Overall, I like Tor's roleplay, but do not care for some of the overly abstracted areas, such as treasure. It's just you get a few treasure points, not specific gems and rings and weapons and items. Those are kind of fun. It's neat to get those specific things, and they really shy away from that in the Tor system. Tor is better suited for more experienced lore masters, though inexperienced players are fine. The abstraction of it would be difficult for new lore masters, while some other RPGs have captions to read through step by step to help the lore master read to the players. Tor does not do a good job of that, but it does do a good job of walking both the players and the lore master through using the rules and then making suggestions on how to act out / behave and use voices and mannerisms and how you're high and low, etc. And does a good job of that, and really, at least in a general sense, with some specific examples, encourages that ROLE playing over just focusing on mechanics. Francesco Nepitello is the developer, and he's very accessible and responsive, and kudos to him for his great work and how hard he's worked on that with others. But for beginning role players, it's not the best system to start with as a lore master. Again, not a problem for players, but if you're going to run the game, you're probably a little better off getting a little more experience under your belt with some other systems that walk you through some of the dialogue and approach a little more effectively. Another group I'm running is an Oriental Adventures group. This is the old first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. This is every Thursday, mostly. Every now and there's exceptions. Later, as we wrap up a story thread on that, we're going to try out the new Star Wars Age of Rebellion basic set that I was given for my birthday recently. Though I'm not providing status updates on the Oriental Adventures, I might do so on the Star Wars Age of Rebellion basic set. Also, I'm hoping to form 2 other groups, as if I wasn't gaming enough. And these will probably be Mondays, alternating between the 2 different groups every other week. I'm trying to form a basic D&D through Immortals D&D. So I've played basic D&D and expert D&D, and started to play a little bit of companion D&D and Masters, but never got to actually run the Immortals level. And it's been ages and ages since I played any of the basic D&D. We've done original D&D, but not basic D&D. This is the old red box set, and then blue for expert, etc. This was in pushback to the advanced D&D first edition rules becoming more and more complex. Some people just wanted to keep it simpler, but wanted it to go to a very, very high level. And in this case, all the way to becoming deities. And I've joked, but it's not pitching Mormonism. Sorry, was just watching. We went to see the musical Book of Mormon last month, and so that just is kind of present in the mind at the moment. I hope I'm not offending anyone there, and you can appreciate the humor of the statement. Anyway, so that's one group, and then on the alternating Monday from that, I want to put together a new science fiction group that'll either be Babylon 5, Firefly, or Star Trek. We might do some transitioning through them. May or may not provide status update videos, but I will if people are interested on that as well. Either one. If you want status update videos as I do them, let me know and I'll create those as a separate series, separate from the main RPG research updates. Whew.